Hey guys, so I'm gonna post a little rant video today. Oh, let me move my mic a little bit. There we go. Mainly because I've been seeing so much on Twitter and stuff about this, so I want to touch on a couple of things. First, the blindfold game situation. For those who don't know what blindfold games are, it's a series of apps specifically coded for the blind, and it's just a whole bunch of games. And Apple implemented a policy for all developers that you can't have a whole bunch of apps in the App Store that all look the same and have similar functionalities. And Blindfold Games incorporates all of their games into about 80 different apps, just about. So recently, Blindfold Games was pulled. All of them were pulled. There will be no more updates, none of that stuff. So a whole bunch of blind people got together and wrote Apple, which is in the case of accessibility things what should happen. But here's kind of how I feel about it, because the games were recently reinstated. I think that the only reason a lot of people really complained was because the games were specifically coded for the blind. But all Apple developers were affected by this. Every single one. So there's someone on Twitter who very wholeheartedly agrees with me. We're on very similar pages with this. I don't think that what happened was necessarily fair, because other developers who were affected by this, who are developing for mainstream, can't just go to Apple and say, hey, we need these because we're blind. They're going to have to recode their apps too. And I kind of understand where Apple's coming from. I find it really hard to uphold stuff like this because, well, we want inclusion, we want equality. Well, I think the developer, instead of, talking about how difficult it is, if you want your apps in the store bad enough, man, then do what all the other app developers are doing. There are other app developers who their main source of income is their apps, not just you. There are mainstream app developers that can't go to Apple and cry blindness and have the problem fixed. And because of a post from someone that I very much respect, he goes by Andre Louis at FreakyFoof on Twitter. That's spelled FOOF, I do believe. Comment if I'm wrong, but check his music out. He's great. Anyway, he was basically like, hey, we have so many widespread accessibility issues. Like a whole bunch of us people who communicate that use voiceover, we use a program called Logic. And that is for music production. A lot of major studios use it. A lot of home studios use it. There are accessibility issues there. There are accessibility issues that are widespread among iOS, OS X, watchOS, and tvOS. And if we if we went at this particular situation with the same fervor, and I said this on Twitter, with the same fervor that we did with Blindfold Games, then I don't think many blind people would have a reason to complain about what Apple's doing, but we all know that some will find a way to complain. But that's my thought on that. I'm going to move on to the iPhone 10, because I got to look at one the other day. I was going to have an iPhone 10 video on my channel. Unfortunately, that fell through. I don't quite know why. I'm not going to dwell on it, but I went to the Apple store yesterday. I just happened to be in the area, and I stood there for about 20 minutes messing with the phone. I did set the accessibility shortcut on that particular model, so if I want to go back in there, hopefully it's still enabled. But I can't get used to not having the home button. I'm very glad that there's a gesture there, and it would definitely take some getting used to. But there are certain things that I just can't do without a home button and specifically Touch ID. I like listening to YouTube at night. I like browsing my phone with my phone underneath my pillow so that my screen taps and things, since my partner is a very light sleeper, won't wake her up. I can't just reach under my pillow and unlock my phone and do things. It's not fluid to me. It's not fluid to me. It really isn't. It takes longer. You have to wait for the gesture to register and then go up and specifically feel for the tap, the correct vibration that you want, and then no. Versus just pressing a button. It's simple and it's easy and it doesn't have to be learned and it's fluid, and I don't think Apple should have gotten rid of it. If anything, they should have put a home button on the side or the back of the device or something. But then people would have complained about that too. Who knows? I feel like no matter what Apple does, they can't win. Other companies are doing edge-to-edge displays. Other companies are using OLED. Other companies are doing a lot of similar things. But Apple gets the shaft for it. I don't understand why. But anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter.